So waiting up for DLC 5, I am trying to grind on some liquid Divinium. Right now I have 17. I did have a little bit more, but I used a few of those to get some perkaholics because I figured that's probably better than anything that they're going to bring into the map anyways. I've got 4 from the Newton's cookbook, which I did hate at first, but I mean, if you can get, really good gobblegums from it, I guess there are some good parts about it. So, breaking down these new maps, most of the people, I guess I'm just finding out, actually haven't even played the original Zombies maps, which is crazy for me because, I mean, I played them, that's how I got into Zombies, not to mention, I mean, they're just classic maps. I mean, Black Ops 1 was the height of Zombies, and the fact that nobody really played, I mean, in the Zombies community today, I mean, like, besides, like, really big YouTubers, obviously, like, Mr. Dalek JD, and I'm pretty sure, like, Noah J, they all did YouTube videos way back in the day doing, like, Easter egg stuff, and, they were more big into, like, Black Ops 2, but they had some good, like, they had some Black Ops 1 videos. Like, Black Ops 1, it didn't really hold any, like, real, like, name for Zombies YouTubers yet. Black Ops 2 was really when, like, the community started loving Zombies, like, more than Treyarch or even the YouTubers could imagine. Millions of supporters, everybody is over. I mean, that's why, in my opinion, that they brought these maps in, was because they saw that after, the height of Black Ops 2 and all the people that joined in on Black Ops 3 and all the people who were, talking about the maps and, saying, they felt as if, like the season pass and, buying all the maps wasn't really worth it. I mean, and when you think about it, I mean, the only map, I guess I should say, that was really hated was obviously Zetsubu. I enjoyed Zetsubu. I mean, I thought it was kind of, like, refreshing a little bit. It was cool being able to go underwater. It was cool being able to use some of Black Ops 3's key features, and it's cool to know that, the Zombies community is in some ways, they're expanding on Zombies, they're trying to, and they did make a really big promise that this was going to be, the biggest hype for Zombies that there ever would be, that they were going to put the most attention to the Zombies, and I think that this right here is kind of where that stands. This is like, this new Zombies DLC 5 is kind of where they, I guess, proved to me and a lot of other, fans of the game that they did keep their promise that they were going to do something crazy for Zombies, which, I mean, it is pretty crazy. There's never been a DLC 5 done for Call of Duty, and the fact that we get one and it's solely Zombies content is insane. And that's really cool, especially for the Zombies community, because, growing up in, COD, Zombies wasn't really all that popular. I mean, it was popular, not gonna lie, obviously, but it wasn't as popular as, like, everybody seemed to enjoy multiplayer, and that kind of took off. But once Zombies started getting more, followers, and people started playing it more, giving it a chance, a lot of people found that they liked it, and it kind of switched. It became 50-50 during the Black Ops, like, 2 stage, I want to say, like, towards the end. I mean, when Origins came out, I want to say that was the biggest game changer for Zombies, because they brought in elemental weapons, they brought in, this huge Easter egg, and the ending to this crazy storyline that, honestly, I think Black Ops 1 had going perfect. And then Black Ops 2 came in, they kind of screwed around with it, but it was also a sort of a different storyline, so you couldn't really say, that they ruined the original storyline. And then Black Ops 3 comes around, they bring in the, the OG characters, and then they kind of just, did exactly what we said that they would do. They kind of, like, ruined it. I mean, it was a cool idea starting out. When Horizon Drop came out, everybody was so hyped, and the Easter egg was, I mean, it was so hard. Getting that Easter egg was very difficult. The amount of times that, me and my friends had to try and grind to get this Easter egg done was insane. I mean, that single boss fight was crazy. I mean, the boss fight with Nikolai, I mean, it only took me like 3 times to, be able to just beat that. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've tried doing Horizon Drop's Easter egg. I mean, the ending boss fight is kind of what kills it. But other than that, it's a really easy, simple Easter egg, which kind of goes against all of Black Ops 1, because Black Ops 1, they never had any boss fights. So all it was just this long, tedious, way to get to, the ending of the Easter egg. And I mean, obviously times were a lot harder getting Easter eggs done back then. You didn't have gobblegums and all that. You know, you couldn't. You know, there were no banks and stuff like that. You know, in Black Ops 2, and like Barry. You know, that Easter egg was a joke. There's like no way. I mean, how could you not have gotten that done? I mean, they had. You know, you could literally just play a game before, get 100,000 points, and do the Easter egg by like round 5, which, I mean. People actually tried doing in Black Ops 3 when they had that, what was it, the rocket launch glitch, where if you kept trying to get the part, but if you never picked it up, they would spawn the zombies in the room area, and you can just keep killing them, and it wouldn't end the round. So, I mean, that was insane. That was good. A lot of people really took advantage of that early on, and they did the Easter egg doing that, and then Treyarch kind of just added these, they fixed the patch, and then they added the worms, and then they made it that you have to do the Easter egg again to get the worm. So it's kind of like, Treyarch getting back at the people who didn't really have to work so hard, because, I mean, in my opinion, that Easter egg was fairly easy all the way up until the boss fight. I mean, you really had no problems. Getting the souls for the keepers, that was probably the second hardest part, and even that was a joke. I mean, all you had to do was sit in there and shoot them with upgraded bows, and it's not like the steps beforehand were hard. So you knew that you weren't going up against this on like, high rounds, like round 25, unless, you just really suck. Like round 25, that's like late for even me going into the boss fight. I mean, you want to get everything done before round 20, like, round, 15, 16, 17, around there. You want to be in that boss fight as soon as you can. You want to get all the stuff that you can get, You just really want to prepare. That's kind of what Black Ops 3 showed us, is that if you're gonna, prepare for an Easter egg, prepare for a huge-ass boss fight that's, gonna close you off from the whole map. So you better hope you've got aftertaste or something, because if you're going down, there ain't no way you're getting those perks back. But that being said, they added a lot of cool things that are going to help these Easter eggs. These Easter eggs are going to be really easy for the people coming in, which is going to be nice because, I mean, let's face it, the percentage of people getting Easter eggs done way in Black Ops 1 was insanely low. I mean, there's no way. Most people, like, look at Shangri-La's Easter egg. I almost got that Easter egg way back in Black Ops 1, but we screwed up on collecting the TNT, if you could believe it. The very last part, nobody was there to pick up the TNT, and you couldn't do the step again to re-drop it, so you kind of just screwed yourself over if you couldn't get that one part, which is what we kind of did. Hopefully they fix the Easter egg, though, and instead of making it 4 people, it could be solo. You don't have to get 4 people to turn on the Eclipse, because, I mean, let's face it, if Black Ops 3 has brought in anything, it's solo Easter eggs, and I think that's a real big thing that the community enjoys, because I know when I'm playing zombies, the first thing that I want to do is just hop on, a game, maybe, play a few rounds, but usually I'll be in those moods where I'm like, I kind of want to kill Nikolai or something like that. And because, I mean, don't get me wrong, even when you have, like, every gobblegum, I mean, it's still very hard, even if you're, a zombies player who's been playing for a long time, boss fights are never complete way to go. Which is what I'm excited about Black Ops 1. It's going to bring a healthy mix now. Instead of just having unbelievable boss fights, we're going to have, like, amazing new things, like seeing the moon, like all those rockets on moon blowing up, Earth. That's going to be really cool to see, personally, in next gen. It's cool seeing the YouTubers do it, but there's nothing like, sitting there, going through that whole tedious thing, and being able to see that go through. I mean, during Black Ops 1's lifestyle, the life cycle of it, I was able to get the moon Easter egg. It wasn't that hard. The hardest part is probably the second half of the Easter egg, but that's really it. And as long as you're Richthofen, you're pretty good for that second part of the Easter egg, because you get those perks early. So it's really nice. That was a really cool benefit that I thought. And of course, getting the 90-second death machine, that's always fun. Who's going to complain about that? One thing that I'm excited about, though, is being able to use that hacker again, seeing if they added any new ways to use it, or, actually, I think just seeing all the new hidden Easter eggs can be really cool. I know they added some new radios in the World at War maps, because, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, World at War, they didn't really give you much to work with. I guess Shino Numa did have the size to kind of, like, say, yeah, I mean, they could have done a lot with Shino Numa in the remake, and they probably did. I mean, there's that big 115 rock that they could have worked off of. I mean, it's a big map in general, I mean, for World at War's time, that was, you know, a huge map. That was like the map that gave birth to training. I mean, look at it. Before, what did you have? You had Verupt and Noct, which, I mean, let's face it, both those maps were alright. Obviously, Noct was, you know, the worst. Verupt was really cool. They brought in perks, you know. You gotta respect them for that. But at the same time, I mean, that map was insanely hard. The only thing that you really had working for you was, I guess, the power, you know, you could turn on the traps, but even those traps sucked. And oh my god, those traps were terrible. I am so glad that they kind of redid that whole map in Black Ops 3. You've got, you know, you've got gobblegums, and gobblegums do make it easy. That's kind of the big thing that people hate on in Black Ops 3, but you don't have to use them. Like, nobody's making you use them. Obviously, Noct is a big thing. People hated that, you know, Noct had gobblegums, and, you know, you can use, like, oh yeah, and then the Wonder Fizz. People are upset that you have perks in that map. You don't have to use the Wonder Fizz. It's a good thing to use, though. I'm not going to say that it was a bad thing to put in, because, I mean, I'm going to say it was pretty smart. I don't know why they put in Mule Kick. I guess because the classic zombies did have Mule Kick in it, like Black Ops 1, then they remade it and they put Mule Kick in all the maps. That's kind of, you know, what they did in this one, as like to show you, hey, you know, that it is a little bit of a nostalgia. Playing that in Black Ops 1, that was really fun, but the one thing that I did hate about it was there was no jugs, there's no nothing. I mean, if you're gonna work in a map with no Pack-a-Punch, I mean, unless you've got 4 people who really know what they're doing and can, like, hold off, you really aren't going to last that long. And obviously, Noct isn't going to be a very played map. There's not much you can do with it. I mean, sure, they've got the box and you've got some cool weapons in there, but people are a lot more excited for, you know, the really OG maps like Kino and Moon. Shangri-La, it's cool. It's cool that you can turn the new zombies, too. But that map's also one of those maps where it's really hard, so it didn't really catch with the zombies fan base that much. The Easter egg itself was kind of weird too, because you weren't really working with your characters, you were saving some other characters, and they were trapped in some temple, and there's some storyline in there. I never really got big into that part, but, you know, I mean, other than that, I love that map. That map was still pretty good. It's a beautiful map. Even back then it was beautiful. I mean, Black Ops 1, you know, that was still a pretty good time for zombies to be around. It was, you know, decent graphics. You know, they had a lot to work with. Maps weren't, like, completely small. That's why I'm happy. Kino was supposed to be in World at War, but then, you know, obviously they didn't have the time for the 4th DLC. 4 DLC maps weren't even a thing back then either, so it's not like they had, like, an incentive to go for 4. So they waited and put it on disc in the next one, which was perfect, because if you're going to make a map with, you know, all of that, you know, you've got all these radios, you've got, like, these Easter egg connections, you've got, you know, this whole map, it's just filled with so much, and then you can't really throw that into a World at War map and then expect people to be able to experience it the way that you wanted them to. Like Origins. Origins was a good map for Black Ops 2. But Black Ops 3, you can tell it was meant for a next-gen console. Just the massive size of that map, the huge Easter egg, all the things that you could do, all these, you know, ciphers and radios and just about everything in there. There's a lot going on in there, and even for, you know, Black Ops 2, that was asking for a lot. But they managed to do it. I can give them props for that. Now that Black Ops 3 is back, you know, now that it's here, you know, it kind of died off, and then DLC 5 is announced. It gets revived, and then, you know, you look at it, and it's a pretty good idea that they're remaking these maps. And if you notice, they're only remaking the OG character maps. I feel like that's because they're trying to show you the real storyline. A lot of people are upset that, you know, maps like Mob of the Dead and Call of the Dead aren't in there, but those have nothing to do with the, like, you know, anything to do with the zombie storyline that involves the original characters. Which, don't get me wrong, I love the zombie storyline, even the side storylines where you've got, you know, the random famous people who are just in there just because. I mean, it's always funny. When I first saw Call of the Dead, it was hilarious. Everybody loved it because, you know, you've got Michael Rooker and, you know, like, all these famous people, you know, the guy who played Freddy Krueger. I mean, it's insane. You know, all these like faces that you're just used to seeing, you know, on TV, and you get to play as them. It was really cool. You know, you got Danny Trejo. I mean, you know, he's kind of, you know, in those like really bad B-rated movies, but I mean, it's still fun playing as him. It was funny playing as everybody. And then they kind of brought that back with, you know, cliche mobsters from the 80s when they had, you know, the Mob of the Dead. That was pretty cool. Mob of the Dead, I think it got way too popular because even now, everybody's upset that, you know, nobody's really seeing any Mob of the Dead. You've got Jason Blundell, you know, teasing people because he knows that people are upset that there's no Mob of the Dead remakes. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a good map, but it definitely wasn't worth me getting butthurt over because I didn't get that map, and instead I got 8 other maps. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, honestly, Moon, in my opinion, is way better than that map. And Moon was so... I mean, it wasn't bad, but you can tell that, you know, the less gravity and all that definitely really messed with the player. And oh my god, the astronaut. As cool of an idea as bringing in an astronaut is, I mean, and him, like, being able to grab you and teleport you, that's fine. But the fact that he can take away a perk, I mean, that's just kind of that's like the one thing that Treyarch throws in there to kind of like anger the player. I mean, if you've noticed in Ascension, they added the monkeys. I mean, you've got big YouTubers going in there hating on the monkeys because they're running maps with perkaholics and they're, you know, like shocked that they're not able to get these monkeys in time. It takes like 2 seconds for your perk to be taken away. There is no way that you're getting that if you have perkaholic. That's why that map is literally just don't buy a single perk except for jugs and quick revive. Definitely work with a team. If you do, it's nice because when you do like are able to save your perks, you do get a free perk if they never touch the machine, which I do miss. I miss being able to get free perks without having to, you know, feel the need to buy them. Like, you know, all these gobblegums they have for getting new perks, and they've got like Perkaholic and Unquenchable, and they've got On the House and all that. I really don't want to have to feel obligated to have one of those gobblegums in my rotation to feel like, you know, I can enjoy this map and get, you know, a decent amount of perks. Like in Shangri-La, they have a way where you can get pretty much just all the perks as long as you get a monkey to pick up a max ammo, and it'll have the option, if you kill a certain time, it'll drop one of those perk bottles, which was really cool. Just like in Call of the Dead, if you were able to kill George, you got a free perk. It was really nice because, I mean, hey, it was a free perk. When I used to play in Black Ops 1, I'd play solo, I'd get my 4 perks, upgrade some guns, kill George 4 times, get all my perks, have a good, like, hour game, and get up to, like, you know, mid-30s, you know, early 40s, and just kind of chill there and just experience the map. That was the kind of classic Days of Zombies. We had to work for everything, and it felt a lot better when you actually got to that stage. Now people at like round 10 going off with like every single perk. All their guns are double packed, which, I mean, the double pack it's alright, but I'm not crazy about it. And it just doesn't really feel, you know, as worth it to play when it's just so easy. I don't know if they're thinking that they're appealing to a younger demographic than they were when they were playing Black Ops 1. Maybe they are. I don't know. I haven't looked up the stats myself. But I think that they kind of went overboard in how they, you know, simplified the maps. I mean, the maps were nice. They looked great. They were always, you know, worked. Even Zetsubu looked awesome. They had a lot of cool things in there. But maps just aren't hard when you give people these, you know, gobblegums and all that. I mean, obviously it's all for money, you know, people who want, you know, like all these big YouTubers, you know, all these people watching, they see them doing these big, like, Liquid Divinium openings, spending like $100 on Liquid Diviniums. They've got like 999 Liquid Divinium. It's like, it's honest, it's insane. It's the same reason why everybody hates, you know, the, you know, like multiplayer now, is because black market's in there, and you know, you've got all of these supply drops, and people are hating on supply drops because it's just another, you know, reason for COD to add less content and just try and get more money. But either way, it was still a good idea. I just feel like it's more or less being abused now, instead of being like a privilege, like, oh cool, I have, you know, like on the house, or I'm feeling lucky, or I mean, especially in on the house. On the house is just good for everybody. But that's, you know, that's one of the cool things is when someone gets that and they throw that at, everyone's all excited. Nowadays, it's more like, oh, you know, like, cool, I've got 55 of those things. Like, you know, it's not really a big deal. Even most YouTubers now, I mean, they're running with like 20, you know, perkaholics, and they've got, you know, self-medication and all these revive things, and I'm over here like, you know, they clearly don't need all this. They know how to play zombies. They've done this without all that help before, but obviously they have to promote, you know, buying liquid diviniums, because they have to make it seem worth it. Obviously, you know, Treyarch's giving them all these exclusive benefits, you know, flying them out early and letting them play the map and letting them stream it and post on their channel. So they're getting all this money from all of these views of everybody who's so hyped for DLC 5. Is this big opportunity for all these big YouTubers, and obviously Treyarch would never have done that if they did not support them in the way that they did. I mean, you look at all these YouTubers, and there's these YouTubers who got like 13,000 COD points, and they've got all of these supply drop openings, liquid divinium things, and let's be honest here, I'm never gonna buy a liquid divinium or, you know, like anything from this that's not DLC content, because why would I buy something for like 20 bucks that I'm gonna use up in 5 minutes when I can buy something for $15 and use it whenever I want? I can just go back to PlayStation 4, PS5 could come out, virtual reality could come out, no matter what happens, I can always come back and play this. And I think that's kind of what, you know, a lot of people don't really remember about COD is, you know, like, when it first was introduced, it was cool. Advanced Warfare brought it in. It was pretty cool. It was different. It was interesting. Now the system's more or less abused. You know, a lot of people are just sitting there, you know, trying to get people to buy all these liquid diviniums and all these, you know, COD points. They're trying to upsell these products from Activision, and it kind of just shows Activision that, you know, they can get away with these kinds of things. But I'm definitely happy. Treyarch definitely did come in clutch this time. They did fill up on their promise. They did promise a lot of, you know, zombies content for this coming zombies, and for the past couple of years, that's pretty much what we've got. We've got a good amount of content. When the year started off, I'm not gonna lie, you know, once, you know, this life cycle started, it wasn't really that crazy. It wasn't that awesome. We started off with Shadows of Evil. First off, I mean, we didn't even have the original characters. The only thing that they really alluded to was at the Easter egg ending was when Richtofen came in, that we were going to get their storyline. Which was my biggest fear, is that we were going to get a storyline with those 4 characters, and that was like the main Easter egg. That's what I thought we were being stuck with. But Black Ops 3 kind of came in and was, they showed the Richtofen clip of, you know, him stealing the orb and then, you know, leaving through the teleporter, and it's crazy because they did do a lot for this. You know, Rise and Drop came out. Everybody loved Rise and Drop. The Giant is a great remake, I feel. You know, and it's cool because when you think about it now going in, you know, BO3 is going to have a lot of, you know, community in it now. You know, they're going to have every World at War map remastered. They're going to have most of Black Ops 1 remastered, except for, what, like one or two maps, 2 or 3. And then you've got the OG map from BO2, which honestly I think was the only map worth redoing, because I mean it had the most content. You've got all of these new elemental staffs. You've got, you know, these new things they're introducing into zombies, and it's cool. You know, they actually, you know, they have the shield in that one. I mean, they have the shield, you know, since the start of Black Ops 2, but that's like the OG shield that we all remember, the cool eagle on it. That's the one that we get in Rise and Drop. I was getting crazy Origin vibes when I first got that shield. It was cool. It was kind of like a throwback, and now you actually get the old map, and, you know, you're watching these YouTubers play it and, you know, showing off their like 15-minute videos on loop, and you get to see these cool, you know, new things they added, like the MP40 is there, and I mean, obviously I was just happy it was the MP40. I mean, as much as the HG40 I'm sure is amazing, I haven't used it enough to really form my own opinion. I mean, it's good. It's obviously not that strong, but I mean, you know, it's got a decent ammo clip, and I mean, it's this reskin of the MP40. What are you gonna ask for? I mean, I kind of think it's, you know, it's a World at War gun. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. It's kind of that illusion that it gives us that it's a good gun, kind of like the PPSH did, because we didn't really have much to work work with. Now we have, you know, like the dingo and all that. And I mean, I'd rather run a dingo with a Draken than I would an MP40 and a PPSH. So that's definitely the good. That's the one thing I guess I can say is the decent part about having Black Ops 3 weapons is we've already worked with these weapons. We know what they're like. You know, the community doesn't have to go back and, like, you know, learn what weapon is good and, you know, have to go through that struggle that, you know, everyone did originally in BO1. Not that it was that bad, but I mean, BO1 didn't have, like, crazy good weapons. I mean, you couldn't, like, I mean, now when I hit the box, if I get anything, you know, unless it's like an XM53 or a Pharaoh, I'm not really pissed. I mean, I can survive long enough to hit that box again, or maybe train and get a few more points, you know, pick up a few more perks, because, I mean, Black Ops 3, when you think about it, doesn't really have that many bad, I mean, yeah, obviously if you pick up a Shiva, but even when you pack a punch to that Shiva, and you get double tap, I mean, that's still a decent gun in zombies, I'm not gonna lie. I've run the Shiva until, like, round 30, I mean, headshots on that thing, oh my god, it's insane. It's like the Draken. I mean, obviously it's not nearly as good, but clearly, if a starting weapon can be improved to that height, obviously, you know, it shows a lot for all the maps in this. Which, you know, all the maps and all the weapons that we're given, not to mention the new wonder weapons that they brought back. You know, we've got our, what is it? I think there was a lot of people saying that, you know, they thought the Winter's Howl was going to be in. I don't think there's going to be a Winter's Howl that's going to be in there, but it's cool that we get a new refresher. I mean, we've got, you know, the baby gun, the zap guns, we've got Ray Gun Mark II, which honestly, that's definitely a really cool throwback. That was only in Origins, and the fact that they took that and then just gave us, you know, that in every single remaster map, that was really cool. That, I mean, you know, it's going to be really helpful for the Origins Easter egg too, and other Easter eggs, because that gun upgraded is, I mean, you really can't go wrong with an upgraded Ray Gun Mark II. I mean, even when you're in like the 40s, I mean, you're still doing decent. And with the gobblegums that they've added, I mean, it's just really, you don't even have to worry at this point for the new maps, because you know you're going to be able to play, you know you're going to be able to do well in it, because if maps now are so simplified and they're throwing in the other maps, those maps are going to be simplified. I mean, just look, they've got Noct with a Wonder Fizz. That alone is going to increase everybody's, you know, like, average round survive by like 10 or 15. Because a lot of people, when they're first starting in, you know, they've got no quick revive, they've got nothing, you know, you make one mistake and you've got to restart the whole game. Which, you know, every zombies player, you know, they mess up, or, you know, they have off days, but I mean, when you're working with a map that's so small and easy to get all the perks that you need, you know, hitting the Wonder Fizz a few times, I mean, what else are you going to spend your points on? 5,000 for a Locust? I mean, come on, I think everybody kind of knows that's a done deal, you know, that's not really what you should be going for. But I think a lot of people do like the Locust. I mean, I personally like the Locust, if it's upgraded. I mean, just like the Draken, I mean, I could do the Draken without being upgraded. I mean, that is a solid gun. But oh, nice. But at the same time, I mean, you know, what are you really going to do? It's going to be fun. It does definitely bring a lot of opportunity, though, because people who can't really get the Easter eggs done, you know, going, like, you know, bare bones and actually earning all this stuff, because, you know, it just takes way too long. You know, it's going to be like around 20. And if you can't really do the Easter eggs on your own, it does help out, especially with the younger demographic of, you know, who really do play zombies, because a lot of them are really excited for these maps too, and they really want, you know, to be able to do these Easter eggs. But going into it, if you've never played Black Ops 1, you really don't know how difficult it really is to actually get these Easter eggs done. And I mean, it's not like it's impossible, but you're working with a lot more. And you know, obviously way back then, you know, we were used to it. Nowadays, it's going to be a lot harder, but it's going to be nice because people who are used to this, people who've played this and already beaten these Easter eggs, you know, they can go back with their friends and they don't even need the gobblegums. Obviously, you know, they've done it before. They can just, you know, hang out and play and, you know, kind of like what the zombies originally started out to be, as like, you know, just classic, like, chill and play, you know, enjoy the storyline, enjoy the characters. I mean, Black Ops 1 is just amazing character-wise. You've got the 4 OG characters, and everything about them is amazing. They're all funny. I mean, you know, it's nice. You know, it's like that comic relief in this really crazy dark storyline that they put together really well. They gave us the new characters. They took away pretty much the value of the characters, I feel like. I mean, I didn't even like hearing the character. I mean, Dempsey was my all-time favorite, and even, you know, just hearing him, you know, you really couldn't take him seriously, because half the things they said, you know, I felt they tried to make the storyline a lot more serious than it needed to be. And, I mean, especially for what we got. I mean, all they really did was just run around and try killing versions of themselves. And then you've got, you know, the ending. Everybody hated the ending for Black Ops 3. That was... It was just bad. I mean, it was almost as bad as how they tried to end off Black Ops 2, and I feel like they kind of got that message in the next, you know, whatever zombies game, maybe World War II, if they're gonna add some zombies, you know, maybe we'll get some relief there. You know, we'll get some cool story, we'll get really nice characters. I mean, my favorite part about this new DLC 5 is being able to play with the old OG characters that, you know, you're just used to. I mean, playing with the Black Ops 3 characters was never really, you know, my thing. I couldn't get into it because I just didn't like them. I mean, they were the same characters, but they changed so much that they really weren't anymore. They're completely different characters. Like, their whole outlook, everything they did, said, you know, everything about the Easter egg just, like, showed that these weren't really the characters that you know. I mean, you know, they're going around killing versions of themselves, you know, they're trying to add onto this huge storyline, trying to bring in, like, you know, species from other planets and other, you know, races, and trying to, like, add, you know, apothicans and all that, and they're trying to make this thing way complicated than it has to be. I mean, nobody's gonna sit here and actually think, like, oh my god, you know what I want to know? What happened to the next big apothicon? Like, who really cares? You know, you're going down there, you're sitting there, you're playing the game, you're having fun. That's all that matters. Nobody's sitting there over, you know, going like, oh yeah, man, you know, I can't wait to see, you know, the next, you know, the boss. I hope it's like this, you know, huge apothicon. You've got revelations coming out. There's this giant apothicon eating the pack-a-punch you gotta get in. You know, they've got the Margwai with Element. You know, they just make things a lot more difficult than they really have to. I feel like a lot has changed with the people who have made this, and it's kind of like a backtrack when they're handing out this DLC. Well, they're not really handing out, you know, they're selling you this DLC 5, and when you think about $30, I mean, a lot of people are really upset, but you got to think about it this way. I mean, this is 8 DLC maps. I mean, when you're adding this to the already maps that are, you know, on this, I mean, you're getting like over 10, you know, you have over 10 maps in this thing. I mean, that itself could qualify for a Treyarch Zombies game. Like, I mean, and you're getting $30. You know, a game like that would probably be like 40, 50, 60, you know, around there. You know, they probably add a lot in there, but you're getting all these OG remakes. You're getting these, you know, the same characters, different weapons, you know, and obviously BO3 influence. You know, there's no PhD. Everyone's all upset, but what are you going to expect? You know, you can only slide. They did reduce the Black Ops, you know, in Black Ops 3, in Zombies, you know, like, your splash damage really isn't as big of a deal as it was in Black Ops 1, which is why they added it. You know, you're trying to run with the ray gun, but every time, you know, you take a shot, you know, you're, like, beat red. That was a big problem, and a lot of people hated it, so Ascension came out, you know, they threw in PhD Flopper to kind of be like, you know, if you want to use explosive weapons, this is definitely the perk to run that. And, you know, obviously it did more than just splash damage, you know. It did help you with, you know, being able to flop. Everybody's favorite thing about it was that you pretty much just had unlimited ammo with this thing. You just found a spot big enough for you to dive your ass over, and you just blew up pretty much every zombie in that area, unless you're in the high rounds. Then you start making crawlers, and, you know, it only gets worse from there. But starting out in that map, when you've got, like, this nice big train behind you, you're only around, like, you know, 10, 12, you know, 15 or something like that. You do a flop, you pretty much just take out that whole horde. You know, you don't waste any, you know, points. You know, you get all these points for it. You don't waste any ammo. It was really cool. It was nice to have, but obviously they couldn't accommodate that for Black Ops 3 with the mechanics that they have for it. Either way, still going to be a great bunch of remakes. It's going to be, you know, just amazing in general. This is definitely the biggest thing that Treyarch has ever done for the Zombies community, and I mean, they didn't have to do this. They didn't have to remake 8 zombies maps and give it off. I mean, obviously, you know, the incentive of the fact that they knew everybody would be buying this, you know, everybody that could, obviously was in there, and, you know, the thought of, you know, how much money we're going to get from this, you know, obviously that was in their heads, but still, I mean, you got to give it to them. They did do it. I mean, obviously there was, you know, a whole lot of, you know, reasons for them behind it. But there was good for us, you know. They made it seem like, you know, they really cared about the zombies community and they wanted to fill us in on the storyline. And for those of us who couldn't experience that firsthand, it's a great experience because even though you're not getting the same experience as you would be if you were playing Black Ops 1, you can still, you know, go back, watch the trailers, get a feel for the map, play it in a whole remastered, you know, scene, and how are you gonna hate on that? It's just an awesome experience that Treyarch did give us, even if they did, you know, kind of, you know, have a lot of hiccups along the way. But what are you gonna do? No game developer is perfect. I'm happy that they're bringing this out. They definitely didn't have to, and I sure as hell didn't expect them to, because I mean, the last thing, you know, Treyarch gave us was Revelations, and we all know how that kind of ended. I feel like this was a fair justification, though. I mean, you know, this is, you know, the reason why they should have given us this is because they gave us a map like Revelations and Zetsubu, and, you know, they're still charging you for these new maps, so people who did buy the Season Pass do kind of get stiffed. I bought the Juggernaut Edition, so, you know, I really didn't have a choice in, you know, the Season Pass, but I probably would have bought it anyways, because that's just what I do when a, you know, Treyarch, you know, Call of Duty game comes out. I'm like, you know, on that, because zombies is, you know, like, you know, just zombies is my safe haven in Call of Duty. If there were no zombies in Call of Duty, I would never have even played Call of Duty. I mean, the campaign's always good, but I'm not big enough in the multiplayer to just sit there and, you know, actually, you know, spend enough time to make it worth $60, and then, you know, in the season passes and all that, I just couldn't be able to do it. That's why I never really played Modern Warfare, and when I got Modern Warfare Remastered, you know, it's fun. They have great campaign, but Zombies just brings that sort of extra storyline that I feel like the game kind of needs. You know, they've got like the story that people only play once, and then they've got multiplayer. They really don't have much going on for, you know, interactive story gameplay where you can play with your friends, you know, co-op mode, or co-op campaign, you know, isn't really, it's alright, but and come on, you know, the campaign in this obviously went down. I mean, campaigns have been going down ever since Black Ops 1. You know, Black Ops 2 comes out and they've got this campaign, and I mean, in my opinion, it was just trash. I mean, you could beat the campaign in 6 hours. Literally, in 6 hours, in a quarter of a day, you could have this campaign done. I mean, when I played World at War, this is a map dating back like 10 years ago almost, and it took me almost the entire, you know, it took me like at least, you know, 12 hours, you know, around the, you know, it took me a long time. You know, this is like, you know, you play it the whole day, like the whole 24 hours, and then you beat it, and, you know, you grind it and you beat it, and it's nice. You play Black Ops 2, and the only thing that they really can vouch for the 6-hour gameplay time is that they have multiple endings. So pretty much they're like, alright, well, yeah, it's a 6-hour game, but you can go back and play it for another 6 hours and see a different ending. But why would I want to go through all that all over again just to change a few things to just see one thing at the end change different? I could just watch people go do it on YouTube and not waste my time, you know, doing a campaign that I've already played multiple times trying to get these new endings that honestly I don't even care about. But, you know, I mean, then Black Ops 3 comes out. I don't even think I completed the first mission. I mean, I played it. I think I did the first one. I think I got, like, you know, to the second one. It just lost my attention way too quick. I mean, I just... Black Ops 3 was definitely not my game until, you know, Zombies started being really heavy into it. I mean, Infinite Warfare comes out. I gotta say, Infinite Warfare is probably has the best campaign since Black Ops, you know, 1 and all. I mean, I personally think it's a little bit better than Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1 was good. They had a lot going on for it. It was a solid, long, you know, you know, like when you played it, you knew you weren't just gonna sit there for, you know, like an average work day and finish it. You knew that you're gonna be able to sit there, relax, and pretty much spend the whole day just, you know, ignoring whatever else is going on in the world and just kind of hanging out, playing these, you know, cool campaigns. And Infinite Warfare really did bring that. You know, everybody hated on it, you know, because of the futuristic, you know, set of it. But they did it so well. I mean, you've got Star Wars over here with galactic ray guns, and, you know, they've got lightsabers and weird ass powers, and old people can use lightning now. And it's like, what the, what? It's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, Star Wars is okay, but Infinite Warfare definitely showed that you can do a, you know, like a space, you know, galactic fight and not have to make it crazy, you know, unbelievable. You know, they've got weird ass robots who say like 3 lines in the whole movie, and everyone's like, whoa. And then you've got, you know, E3, you've got Ethan, and everybody's over here crying when he's dying, and it's just, it shows how connected you really feel to it. And I'm sure people, you know, a lot of 40-year-old people cried when, you know, before fucking Disney took in, you know, Lucasfilms and just started remaking the movies. I'm sure they were all upset because they kind of knew it was, you know, they weren't going to see it. But this is 7 movies that they're going on, and or 8 now, and it's crazy. They might as well just make this a really long TV show. Like, they're going on to a first season. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. The amount of movies that these people have can be counted as episodes for, like, a season. For, you know, like a typical, I mean, and I'm not saying that they don't really deserve it. They're cool ideas. But, I mean, they're really going to make 8 movies about the same thing? I mean, they blow up the Death Star, like, 3 different times. How are you going to make movies involving the same villain, involving the same plan, involving the same people, and try and pass it off as a different movie? I mean, Infinite Warfare, you know, I think they really had it down with it. I mean, they didn't have anything too crazy. You could go to all these planets and you could, you know, but you still had, like, you know, regular weapons, regular bullets, you know, you have, you know, big spaceships, obviously, but it's not, like, unbelievable. You know, they don't have lasers. I mean, sure, you know, they got huge cannons. Obviously, every giant ship that's used to kill people has big guns. But either way, I mean, Infinite Warfare is pretty good. Zombies, I can agree with people are upset. I mean, Shaolin Shuffle comes out, and it's fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's fun using karate and zombies. I don't know why they use karate and zombies. I don't think Infinite Warfare actually cares about, like, you know, classic, you know, zombie. They're just trying to make it, you know, their own, make it funny, make everybody, you know, laugh and want to play it. And I think that they're doing a pretty good job. I mean, you know, you're, you know, using, you know, Krav Maga to, you know, kill this, you know, 1970s zombie in New York. I mean, it's weird, it's funny, it's quirky. It's not really like you want to, like, sit there and, you know, enjoy the story, but it really does make you want to sit there and play it a little bit, and that's what I think that Infinite Warfare is kind of doing. They have a lot more replay value in these maps. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, these maps don't compare to Black Ops, you know, they don't compare to Treyarch. I mean, neither did Advanced Warfare. I mean, Exozombie is probably the most hated, you know, thing. I mean, like, it was so hated in the COD community because, you know, people just, you know, they were so used to the average zombies. Now they're trying to throw in, you know, these weird EMP zombies and all these zombies with all these different abilities, and you've got, you know, exosuits, and it's just, it's a lot. I mean, I think Advanced Warfare was kind of going for what Infinite Warfare was going. It wasn't as obvious because the story to it was really serious. The story to Infinite Warfare, it couldn't get less serious. It is literally about, you know, 4 teenagers get sucked into a movie by this old ass director, and all they have to do is just go through cliche movies and survive. And it's just kind of funny. And I think that's what they were going for. It was a nice break. Black Ops 3 comes back around with, you know, the new DLC 5, and everybody's just, you know, everybody's happy. Everybody's, you know, excited because, you know, they get this new DLC, they get all this cool new content, and, you know, they get to experience things that maybe some people didn't before. I think that the entirety of these zombies, you know, community, you know, you've got Infinite Warfare zombies, you've got Advanced Warfare zombies, Treyarch zombies, they all in a way work together. In a way, I mean, you gotta think of it, in a different, way than just, these game developers are copying, Treyarch, because obviously these are very, very popular, videos, and these are popular games, and people just got really attached to zombies, and then when the DLC life cycle ends of a game, the game kind of dies out, and people get sad because they don't really have a reason to play these maps anymore. Like, nobody really has a reason to play, Black Ops 1 unless, you're going with a team of friends who also want to play. Because, I mean, try going into a Black Ops 1 server and trying to find a decent game. Like, unless you have Xbox One, you're really not going to find a crazy decent game. And that's another thing that people are really upset about, is that, these people are upset that DLC 5 comes out first for PS4 and then Xbox has to wait a month. But Xbox has backwards compatibility. If anything, I mean, this is just justice. PSN really doesn't give a rat's ass about, what the community wants. I'm sure if they did, they'd already have, the same things going for it. And then I could understand why people would be upset at Black Ops 3 Zombies and be like, oh, why do these people get it back? It's not even like a regular DLC, and the DLC life cycle is just an add-on, and they're already getting everyone's getting all upset. But you gotta think of it like this: a lot of people who play zombies played zombies back in the day, and they don't just change consoles. I mean, you can easily just grab that disc, slide it in, and start playing. And you pretty much had the same experience as you did when you're starting out. And a lot of people don't really have that chance and opportunity now, especially people on PlayStation, because, if you ever want to play, Black Ops 1 Zombies again, you gotta sit there, bring out the old PS3, and I don't even know where the hell mine is at this point. I mean, I haven't used it in forever, so this new, DLC coming out is definitely helpful for me. Because instead of having to go out and look for it, I'll just go and play some zombies, play on Black Ops 3. It's kind of like a one-stop shop for zombies at this point. You're getting all these new, all this new content, and it's crazy. It is really nice, though. I do agree that, PS4, it's nice to have a PS4 now. Growing up in the zombies community, I always had to be that guy who had to wait the extra month just to see what, Black Ops 1 life cycle, World at War, Black Ops 2, I mean, all these games, and PS4 is just the ones who get to lag behind. Black Ops 3 comes out, and the licensing switches from Microsoft to Sony, and PlayStation now gets these maps early, and it couldn't have happened at a better time. I'm glad it happened when it did. If I had to wait an extra month just for, these maps, I would be so upset, because, the hype is definitely real for this map. Clearly, everybody loves this map, the DLC maps. I mean, everybody is excited, even the people who are a little bit butthurt that everything's not the way that they want it to be. I mean, when you're getting something, from these developers, something's going to be off. They're not going to fix everything. They're not going to make it perfect. They're not going to make it the way that you think it should have been made. But it's still going to be a great DLC no matter what. I mean, you're getting 8 zombies maps. Just throwing that in there right there, how are you going to say that's bad? I mean, obviously the reason why you're getting 8 is because they're just remaking all this stuff. They don't really have to actually, come up with ideas, and, I think all they have to do is just update it and throw in some new things. As basic as it is, it's nice though, because they really didn't have to do that. They could have just left us with these, original, Black Ops 3 maps, and that would have been terrible. I mean, what are you gonna play? You're gonna play either Horizon Drak, Garage Crovey, maybe Revelations, maybe. I mean, I don't see the point in playing it, because it's not really that crazy. It's not really that, worth it. I mean, it was just so lazily thrown together. We definitely deserved this BO3, DLC 5 that everybody was excited for, because, I mean, they couldn't have shafted us more with last DLC than they did. I mean, it's funny because, you know, these big YouTubers are going on here and they're like, oh yeah, you know, Treyarch finally, you know, did something awesome, you know, they added these DLCs that, you know, like, people are gonna remember from the old days and all these maps and all that, and it's like, but they really didn't. I mean, sure, they give you you know what they gave you? They gave you Nocturne and Toten, and then they gave you a room from each of the other maps, and they weren't even the good rooms. For, you know, Shangri-La, they gave you the starting room, the spawn room. I mean, and the only reason why they did that was just so, you know, it was an entrance into, you know, another area. I mean, it was so fast that, I mean, I was definitely triggered when this map came out. I was so upset. I was like, you know, I stuck through, you know, World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, all of Black Ops 3, and this is how it ends? I mean, the Easter egg ending alone, I mean, this is going on almost like a decade storyline right here. You know, 10 years of the community giving ideas and Treyarch trying to, you know, improve and help, and the best that they come up with is, you know, a map that was not even original. I mean, it had some original parts to it, but everything else was just copy and pasted and thrown together. I mean, it literally looked like a Wikipedia article. I mean, it was just... It angered a lot of people, and I think that's what ultimately gave Treyarch that, you know, big push. You know, they did promise this huge BO3 Zombies campaign, and, well, not really a campaign, but, you know, this huge story, and they didn't really live up to that, because what did they give us? They gave us a storyline that most people didn't really even care for, and the only people who were crazy about it were these big YouTubers and all their followers, but that's it. I mean, if you weren't, you know, didn't have a hard-on for, like, Dalek JD, you wouldn't have cared about the storyline. I mean, it was just more confusing than it had to be. It didn't have really any crucial points in it. None of it really even related to the old storyline, except for the fact that you just used younger characters. And in itself, that was just lazy because, I mean, this is a whole new storyline. You might as well have just give us new characters, because giving us a storyline where you just run around, kill your old son, nothing even comes of it, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's why I'm not making, you know, zombies content, because, you know, clearly that is what the community wants, because that's what they've been giving us. But then again, maybe it's not, because then they gave us this new DLC, and it's kind of like, you know, an apology, like, you know, sorry you were so upset with our maps that we had to remake 8 old ones. But, you know, everyone makes mistakes, so, you know, thanks. And that's pretty much what I got from, you know, Treyarch, which, you know, isn't a bad thing. They acknowledged that they kind of screwed up in the, you know, the DLC cycle of Black Ops 3, and they didn't just sit there and, you know, were like, oh, well, you know, whatever, you know, you guys paid for it, you know, you knew what kind of ass we made. You know, you should have been prepared for this. Instead, you know, they are charging you for 8 new maps, but it's kind of like, hey, you know, you hated our new maps, but you did like our old ones, so here you go, $30 and you get to play them again. I mean, it's definitely good. I had to say was, hey, you know, you want to play some of the old maps, you know, pay $30. I would have been like, you know, I still would have done it. Even if it was like, you know, 6 or 7, I still would have, you know, paid that much, just because they didn't really give you much of a choice. They kind of backed you in a corner in this. I mean, you could say that this was a great, I'd say, marketing scheme for them. You know, they gave us 2 good maps and the DLC life cycle, and then we have 3 really bad ones, half of which you paid for. Well, all of them you paid for. I mean, $60 for the original startout game, you get, you know, I mean, you get Shadows of Evil. That itself is, you know, self-explanatory, and, you know, how bad it really was. But, you know, you get this, you know, BO3 Zombies, you're promised this awesome storyline, and you only end up playing 2 or 3 maps that you like. I mean, the Giant, I include as a map that I like. I play the Giant, Rise and Drock. I sometimes play Revelations. I mean, it's got some replay value. Now I don't have to, because they're adding in all the Black Ops 1 stuff, and from all the rumors from way back when of them doing that back in Black Ops 2, it was cool that they actually did it this time. Because everyone is excited. You know, Black Ops 1, they gave you all the old maps, and it was like, you know, it was awesome because people were, most people who didn't play World at War or didn't get the DLC stuff, all you had to do was buy Moon. That was it. All you had to do was get Moon, and you got the remade classic map. So, for $15, you're getting, 5 zombies maps and 4 multiplayer maps, and, now they're only giving you, 8 zombies maps that were already just taken back and remade, and they're, giving out for $30. But at the same time, I can see it. I can see, Treyarch's point of view. They did try and think outside the box for this one. It kind of seemed like the community was into the storyline at first. A lot of people were interested to see where it was going, and I'm not gonna lie, I was hyped. I was definitely hyped when I first thought of, when I first heard about, Black Ops 3. When I started getting into the storyline, I thought that, kind of been like bounty hunters and going down, tracking the former cells, killing them, trying to set the universe right. That was a good storyline. That was definitely good. But the way they handled it was, it was definitely a lot. They gave us Zetsubu, they're trying to, get this whole Takio storyline. They're trying to add in this whole new group organization from Japan, what was it, like, Section 9 or whatever, Group 9, I don't even know. I didn't really get into the campaign of that one. All I know is there's a Japanese version of Group 935. They tried to make that into, this big thing. It didn't really work out well. All it really did was just lead to, this map where you're fighting plant monsters and spiders, and it's kind of like a Halloween map more than it is like, a zombies map, because you're getting all these weird, creatures, and you don't even get anything for killing them. You get, a max ammo at the end of the round when you're fighting spiders, but other than that, you don't get anything from you don't get anything for killing the huge ass freaking plant monsters. What are they even called? The Thrashers. Those guys are, especially when you're first starting, those guys are insane to fight. You're running around here with, your Kuda or something like that, and you're just not gonna win. You're gonna win, but it's just gonna be a lot of effort, and it's sure as hell is not even worth the effort. But at the same time, Treyarch has, I think, connected a lot with the community. They've done a lot for, these big YouTubers, and YouTubers have done a lot for them. They do a lot of profiting for them. They do a lot of marketing. They do a lot of, just spreading the word. And I think that's kind of the thing that YouTube really brought, was kind of like a community relationship between, these developers and the players, and it's nice because it's more than you can get from any response from a beta. Sure, the betas, betas are nice, for finding out, all this data, but nothing is better than putting this one dude in front of this camera and, just influencing, millions of zombies players to buy this content, to want to buy this map, to want to play this game, to want to get introduced into the story, to want to get all the stuff that Treyarch is releasing. And it's hurtful and it's beneficial, because at the same time you're tricking these younger, more, I guess, they're more, they're easier to, shift their mind. It's a lot easier to get, like a 12-year-old playing zombies, have this big fan base, and then tell them, oh, hey, get this new zombies map, get Zetsubu, it's going to be an amazing map. They play it for a little bit. They make it out to be a lot better than it really is. People buy it, and then the community gets upset. But then they get new things like, you've got Garage Krovi. Everybody loved Garage Krovi. All these, Divinium itself, that was pretty good. They brought back elemental weapons. How crazy was that? That was really cool. I kind of thought that was just going to be the next trend. I thought every, DLC was going to have elemental weapons and a boss fight. Everyone did have a boss fight, but none of them really had elemental weapons. It was only this map, but it was still cool to have. Elemental weapons were such a big thing in Origins. It only makes sense to bring it back into Rise and Rock as more of a nostalgia type of view, and just because it's a good idea. Who's going to get upset about, being able to, grab this bow and, create a tornado? That was a really cool thing, was they brought in these guns that always had these cool effects. Look at the Baby Maker. That thing, just the, look of it alone and the feel of using it, you know, the animation and, you know, the cool things you can do. That's what a lot of people really love about zombies is, you know, the cool ways that they introduce new content into this. I mean, they've got Wonder Weapon. I mean, that's a crazy idea. I mean, who really would have thought of Wonder Weapon? They've got, you know, the ray gun. They had, you know, I mean, every map back then, you know, in Black Ops 1 that came out always had a new Wonder Weapon, and they were always cool. Even the Winter's Howl was cool. I mean, nobody really liked 5, but people liked the Winter's Howl. That was a really cool gun. They threw it in for Ruck, you know, because they didn't have anything. That was definitely cool of them. It was definitely a really good gun. But at the same time, you know, they're not going to get everything right. Some of the guns did really suck, but I mean, what are you going to do? Everybody, you know, nothing is perfect, especially in zombies. If zombies taught you anything, you know, if you've been with the community since World at War and you've been playing all these maps, the one thing that zombies really kind of shows you is you kind of got to take what you can get. I mean, zombies was never this huge thing until just recently. I mean, it was popular, I'm not going to lie. People liked it. A lot of people played it. Even people who weren't huge in the storyline played it. It was just that relaxing thing that you could play like a campaign. You didn't have to feel like you had to go all out like you're playing multiplayer or something. You can just relax, and Black Ops 3 definitely introduced relaxing in zombies when they gave us gobblegums. I mean, they literally said, you know how all the effort that zombies used to take you, now it takes you absolutely no effort, and you can, you know, all you have to do is buy gobblegums. You know, that's kind of where money I mean, money's been ruining COD since Call of Duty's been out. I mean, you know, people are upset at Infinite Warfare. You know, they're releasing this really crappy DLC for $15 because they added supply drops in it. Another reason why people hate supply drops, and, you know, everyone's all upset at the COD community because everything's always got to be about money. Everything's got to be about earning more money, you know. Buy these supply drops, you know, get this DLC, get these supply drops, buy the season pass, get these supply drops. I mean, who really cares about the supply drops? You don't get. I mean, I've played Call of Duty, you know, thoroughly. I haven't missed a single game. I've played Ghost. I've played Advanced Warfare. I've played Infinite Warfare. I've been around since the start and sort of hopefully falling of the supply drop introduction. When they first brought it out, you could tell it wasn't completely about money. You could tell it was definitely. You know, it was definitely a way to definitely bring in more revenue for, you know, Activision, clearly. You know, the COD community definitely did, you know. I mean, you've got all these YouTubers able to buy hundreds of dollars. I mean, they're buying like $400 or $500 worth of COD points at a time to open up, like, you know, these, you know, and like the tens of thousands of COD points to open up these supply drops, and people actually sit there and watch the whole video. I mean, like people are over there like, oh yeah, I mean, that was a great, you know, supply drop opening, you know, it's an hour long, and all you do is watch them sit there and get hype over, you know, a few camos and maybe, if they're lucky, a new gun. I mean, it's crazy that the community is so, like, dependent on these YouTubers, and that, you know, the little things that they do, it changes their whole outlook entirely. When these new, like, supply drops came in, nobody liked them until YouTubers started getting really big into them, and, you know, they start, you know, buying supply drops, opening them, showing, you know, that you can get new stuff, you know, cool variants, and, I mean, it brought in more content, but it also brings in a lot more, you know, diversity between people who feel that Treyarch is overstepping their bounds with, you know, trying to get the community to, you know, keep supporting them, and I can't really say that I blame them. When Call of Duty first started, it had nothing really, I mean, it wasn't a play-to-win game until they started adding in weapons. Because already right there, Treyarch is thinking, you know, or not Treyarch, but Activision is thinking, hey, you know, we got a lot of money, but is a lot of money really enough for us? Is millions of dollars really enough for us? No, I mean, every big company that asks themselves that big question, none of them say no. You ever think Walmart just sits there and says, we're a multi-trillion-dollar company, we could be, you know, donating all this stuff to the American deficit, all this, you know, we can be doing so much in this world. Instead, I'm going to open up a few more stores and bring in some more income. And, I mean, it's sad, you know, there's no laws regarding this, so clearly people just feel that they can do whatever they want. And then you've got Activision coming out with adding in probably the biggest mistake ever is adding in supply drops and then adding in weapons. Because at least when they started adding in weapons, like, you know, you had like the Ohm and stuff like that, you know, you got that stuff for free. I mean, you should, well, not for free, you had to buy the DLC, but I mean, at least everyone had an equal chance of getting it. When you add in these new, you know, like supply drops and all that, you really take away the playability of the game, because a lot of people aren't spending all their money on this game. You know, big YouTubers who are able to take these things as tax write-offs, I mean, they don't even think twice about paying $500, $600 a time opening up supply drops for, you know, making a video. Whereas an average, you know, typical player, unless, you know, they're rich, they're not really going to sit there and think, you know, what I could really go for 13,000 COD point opening right now. Let's do this. Like, nobody really cares except for big YouTubers, or, you know, some people do. Some people really think that, you know, it's a good system, you know, that, you know, they think that they have an equal chance of getting, you know, all these cool new weapons. You know, I mean, obviously they don't, but, you know, you can't really blame them for thinking that. Treyarch kind of has, or not Treyarch, Activision has been trying to sell us on these things for years now. I mean, ever since Advanced Warfare, you know, people have, I think they kind of saw through I keep making that mistake. They saw through Activision's, you know, sort of like, I mean, they knew that it wasn't really for the community, obviously. I mean, they're asking $20 for a rare supply, like, I mean, for like these supply drops, and it's like, what am I gonna get out of it? What is gonna be worth $20 to me? Like, what is this, you know, opening gonna be that is worth a third of this game? And it's nothing. It's not, because it's not even content. It's just like equipped, you know, like camos, reticles, and maybe you get some content in there. Maybe, if you're lucky. But I mean, and yeah, I think that's kind of where those, you know, memes come in, where, you know, DLC 5's coming out, everyone's like, or when Treyarch kind of went in a hiatus and they weren't telling anyone about Garage Krovi, everyone was making these jokes, you know, oh yeah, you know, you'll get it in supply drops. I mean, it's funny. It is funny. It's a funny meme, but at the same time, I don't want to joke about it because I don't want to give them ideas. Because the next thing they're going to do is it's going to be, you know, Black Ops 4, and the only way you're getting DLC 2 is if you spend like $300, you know, trying to open up supply drops. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but if you ask someone Black Ops 1, you know, what they would think if they, you know, if Treyarch was, or if Call of Duty was going to add in supply drops and, you know, Bible weapons, nobody would have believed them, because that just wasn't COD. You know, I mean, Call of Duty wasn't always this big, massive game. It was, you know, for PS2, it was just classic, you know, World War games. You know, it was a lot of history, it was a lot of fun, and it wasn't really about the money. Now, you know, you're getting into, you know, everything's got to be about money. You know, even these YouTubers are hard up for this extra cash, and they're making off better than everybody watching their videos. And it's insane. I mean, the way that the COD community has changed since Call of Duty, I mean, it's definitely an eye-opening thing, because you're used to Call of Duty, you know, being about one thing, and then they kind of change and they go way to the other way. And as much as I love playing COD, I can see where it's really going downhill. Hopefully they look at this, you know, they look at all these people, and, you know, they kind of realize that maybe they don't need that extra, like, you know, 100, 200 grand from, you know, the end of the life cycle of people buying all these things. You know, maybe they really don't need that. You know, they're a multi-million-dollar company, and they sure as hell don't need any more support than they are already getting. Every time they release a game, it's always in the, you know, the high millions of, you know, like, the people who end up buying it, unless of course it's like Infinite Warfare. But that was kind of like the justified thing. You know, you know, Infinite Warfare didn't do so well, and it's kind of because Activision keeps trying to, you know, they're trying to hustle you for more money, really. I mean, they're asking for, you know, all of this, and they never did before. It kind of makes you wonder, you know, what really happened to the community. You know what really did happen. You know, back in the day, you played, some campaign, you got to look forward to the new zombies maps, and you played multiplayer, and you got to just hang out with your friends. Now it's more or less like, all these YouTubers are competing for, who's getting all this new stuff. For everybody's trying to outdo each other and try and, all these YouTubers are all about making more money, and you've got Activision trying to hustle everybody for their money, and the ironic part is the demographic of the people who do play are underage, so they can't even buy it themselves anyways. They gotta ask their parents, and those are the people who really, really are getting, afflicted by this, because, ain't no 13-year-old kid gonna be playing, he's definitely not gonna be buying, I mean, seriously, let me catch my son buying $400 worth of COD points. I mean, I would disown him. Like, I mean, seriously. There is no need to be spending more than what the game is worth on content that goes away the same day. I mean, you're buying like $500 worth of COD points, you do the supply drop opening, that was $500 gone, and they're not in a better place, a much better place to make it worth it. But then again, they do get the money back, and that's where it's really hurting the community, because if they were spending this money and actually losing it themselves, I mean, that'd be a different story, because then they're actually feeling the same thing that the COD community is feeling. But they don't. They spend $500 on this, supply drop opening, and then they write it off as a tax write-off, saying that, oh yeah, it's for my job and all that. They get this stuff back, and it's like it's just free stuff for them. And Treyarch doesn't know this. Activision knows this. Call of Duty knows this. All the game developers know this. Anybody who knows, about YouTube understands the way that this works, and they get that, a sense of, what the community is turning into, and instead of going against it, they kind of support it. I mean, you've got Activision, trying to sell you on these supply drops, and they're getting all these big YouTubers to do these big openings, and it's been working. That's the sad part. They wouldn't keep trying to sell you on supply drops if they weren't already making sales on them. I mean, they see all these people, buying it because they see their favorite YouTubers buying it, and they think, well, what if we get more people to do supply drop openings? What if we get, more, YouTubers there? What if we get, more recognition for this? How much could we really, get done? And that's kind of like the question that I feel always defeats the purpose of a lot of Call of Duty. They don't really become games, like, they don't become, enjoyable games anymore. They become pay to win games. And I'd rather just pay the money for the game and enjoy it. That's how games have been in this whole world. I mean, you don't even have to look at video games. I mean, you don't see Monopoly coming out with a DLC, you're spending $15 for, this new, type of money. It sounds really dumb, but that's kind of what Activision has been trying to put on us for, the past couple years now, and it's just funny to see them, trying to get everybody, into this, and trying to get YouTubers into this, and they're just trying so hard to get money that they already have. In a way, it does really affect the zombies community, because a lot of people aren't really asking for this. I mean, a lot of people like me just kind of wake up one day and, they, hear on the message, they're online and they hear all these people, raging about it. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, as much as the next guy I know about Call of Duty news, I don't really care what Activision does in their spare time. I don't care what they plan on doing, because I'm a zombies guy. I don't really have to put, all my time into thinking, oh god, what map are they going to give us next? What's going to happen? What's this new content? I don't really have to care, because I always know I'm going to, most likely enjoy the zombies, because I've never had a zombies, map where I have just completely hated, where I could never play it, where, it wasn't even worth it to me. I've definitely never had that, and I mean, after all the maps that I've seen, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get that feeling, because, after surviving through maps like, Transit and all that, if you're still playing COD Zombies and you're still there with them, clearly you're definitely in there for the long haul, because, I mean, you've got Transit, you've got Zetsubu, you've got Revelations. I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it's a little sad, because, you do, spend like $15, or, you buy the season pass, you're expecting, Treyarch to go all out like they promised, and they did. They definitely did. They did. I mean, Black Ops 3 clearly has been the most progression for zombies ever. Even in Black Ops 2, when Black Ops 2 was getting really popular, everybody was loving zombies, even then they got the recognition that they needed, and they promised even more content in the next Treyarch game. And then they pull through finally at the end of the year. I mean, in a way it makes everything sort of worth it again. Like, I'm not gonna say, this is like, the savior of, Call of Duty, this is like, the thing that, zombies would have crashed and failed if they never had this. I mean, I'm not saying that. But I am definitely saying that Treyarch promised a lot, and what they gave in return wasn't enough. The community realized that, Treyarch realized that, and it kind of benefited everyone. Nobody really left out, hurt. I mean, everybody's getting the equal opportunity to get these 8 zombies maps. This is quality DLC content that people should actually buy. I mean, people who are going out there buying, $500 worth of, COD points. I mean, they're having fun for that time when they're opening it and stuff like that, and knowing that they're getting all this money, and they're having fun there. But not everybody is a big YouTuber that can just not have to worry about anything that they buy on a game and can just sit there and throw their money at it. And not everybody's like that. Not everybody can sit there and they don't have the opportunity that these YouTubers have. They don't have Treyarch behind them. They don't have Call of Duty behind them. They don't have all this ad revenue coming in from all these views, and they don't really know the ins and outs, so they're kind of just playing this game to have fun. Whereas this is a job for some people, and I can see why, a lot of them do sort of sell out in a way. They do, they just rave as much as they can about these maps because, they're getting paid to. So you can't really get mad at them. I mean, you can't get mad at somebody for doing their job. I mean, that is pretty much their job description. If they want to get paid a decent amount of money, if they want Activision's help and support, if they want all this cool, early access gameplay being able to be flown out and all that, they have to do all these promotional videos and buy all these things, and Activision knows this, and it's more of like a mutual agreement. It's nice that, they found this mutual agreement, because it does get a lot of news out to the Call of Duty community. You see this big YouTuber come out, post this video of, like this, new DLC that's coming out. Everyone gets hyped. Everyone's, enjoying the time. They're like, they're sitting there, trying to come up with, theories. And I mean, people can just, they go crazy when they hear new content might be coming out. I mean, some people act like Sherlock Holmes, and they're getting out like the, freaking pen and paper. They're getting like this huge, they're just trying to sit there, and they're trying to make it more complicated than it really is, because when you're working with a game, you really don't have much of time to do that. They do give out new DLC, they do give out these new things, but it's not like this ever changing platform. You just get this year of experiencing it, and a lot of YouTubers have to make their whole lives about Call of Duty has been supporting them for years now, to the point where if COD does fail, they're gonna die out too. If Mr. Dalek JD, if suddenly everybody starts hitting zombies, unless he can find something that was able to support him in the way that Call of Duty did, there's no way that they're going to be able to survive just on making videos alone. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of them would actually get out, they're going to have to get real jobs, surprisingly. The real world, you wouldn't think that you would have to, apparently you do. But, I mean, it's funny because, if they do get real jobs, you're no longer going to get all this new, feedback from them. You're not going to get these, then there's not just going to be a lot going on in the community. I feel like COD has evolved to the way it has because YouTubers have made it out to be a lot bigger. it's like all this free, advertising for them, pretty much. They tell these YouTubers, hey, support these DLCs. We'll fly you out for them. You get to play them early. We'll give you early, access. We'll let you in on some new things. You can interview our gamers and developers, and it becomes more of this. It becomes more of a business than it becomes a game. I mean, with money the way it is, you can't really expect anything else in, these days, unfortunately. But I think that Call of Duty is starting to take a turn. I think they're realizing this, with the start of 8 new maps being added in, and Treyarch, our Call of Duty finally going back to boots in the ground, World War II, going back to what the community is asking for. It shows a lot. And, I mean, I don't want to jinx this, but I don't know how they're going to add in supply drops into World War II. I mean, what new guns are they going to get out? I mean, we already know basically the whole entire roster of guns they're going to give us, because we've had so many games where they've, made World War I and World War II, and we just know the kind of guns we're going to get. So what's the point of, DLC, weapons when it's all already been seen before? It's all already going to be in the game. Hopefully this takes a new turn. Hopefully this will be a break in the supply drop, thing. I don't even know what you want to call it at this point. This, like, fad? I mean, it was a good thought, and I mean, it didn't work out as well as they wanted to, but I mean, they should just call it quits in Advanced Warfare. I think World War II might be finally the start of something different, a start of actually going back and playing, games that you used to play. It's definitely going to be nice for the community. It's going to be good for the new people who are starting out. They get to understand what it was like for people 10 years ago to be playing Call of Duty, the way that they felt it, and they get to feel it, for themselves, and it's going to be nice. There's going to be a lot shown in these next upcoming years, and the community, hopefully, a lot comes out of this.